Open loops. Do, do. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. You must listen to the open loops, a theme park for absurd beliefs and systems of integration between the mind and the creative spirit. Open loops.
All right. Today on Open Loops, we're going to try to keep things in order today. Though we're not, I don't think we're going to be successful because I have somebody on this show that is a very good friend of mine that we tend to, in general, in a way, I find this interview as a throwback to some of the earliest episodes of this podcast where I was interviewing my friends in general and people that I just had great conversations with. But my guest today, Farah Lutvica, the red-headed hypnotist of the Netherlands, of Europe, of I didn't even ask you how you wanted to be introduced, but before the show, by the way, so we'll get to that later. But yes, Farah Lutvica. She is a master NLP trainer and hypnosis trainer and a practitioner. And she also, we tend to get into a lot of conversations that sometimes go absolutely nowhere. I'd like to think on the unconscious level, maybe they are, but it's that fun fusion of substance and surreal whimsy that made me go, you know what, for this holiday season, let's bring her on. Farah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I know, and that was a big build-up. Now we have to be weird.
Now I have to loop into it, huh?
You gotta, yeah, I mean, I don't even know. We have to not make sense or make sense. I mean, look, let me ask you this. Your website says you are the, now I don't know, this is a claim. I want you to back up this claim right now.
Okay.
The youngest hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming trainer in the world. How do you know this is a fact?
That's correct, because when I did my NLP trainers training, they told me, the people that certified me told me they never had a younger person on board to be an NLP trainer. So that's how the title came about, because I was at that point the youngest one. And I think I still might be the youngest one. Yeah, so that's how it came about.
Well, do people know that when they go into meeting with you? Does that reputation, do you feel like people still go, oh yeah, you're the young one we all hear about?
Yeah, they do tell it. Like when the institute where I work, in the Dutch one, the Hypnose Institute Nederland, they usually introduce me like that before, we go on. We have our main trainer. He says, like, she's the youngest NLP trainer. And sometimes people refer to me like that. So,
oh, does that let you get away with things, you think?
but I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm 29, so I'm not that young anymore.
I think you should milk this title for all it's worth. I think you should be setting anchors inappropriately just to mess with people. Yeah. And they go, oh, she's the young one. She's the young one.
She's the young one. I mean, Yeah, but young is also innocent, and it's also, still, I think, inexperienced. But if you have like 10 years, I've had that title for 10 years. I mean, by now, it almost like, I feel like we are in a stage where we should have a new title. We should grow into something new. Maybe we can explore what that new title would be. Like the Red Hat Hypnotist is something I came up with, like progressing from that original title. I guess, but once I would change my red hair, that would also not.
I know, I know. And besides, Farah, look, if we're going to keep this friendship going, we're going to try to have to keep you as immature as humanly possible. What about world's least mature hypnotist? Maybe that's going to be me.
Oh, yeah. The immature hypnotist.
Actually, okay. I need to know, because you've told me some fun stories about times in training where you've said things and been in trouble for no reason at all, and times where you've done things. And to be a young person, I mean, what was the age? You told me you were a teenager, right? When you first got into this?
Yeah, I was like in NLP practitioner, I was 15.
Oh my
And
God.
my trainer's training, I was 19.
Okay, I'm going to get to the irresponsible stuff in a second because I do want to ask you about this. 15, we have to know, what is a 15-year-old doing learning about NLP?
Well, the thing was, I saw it as a sort of magical powder. I thought, these people know something I don't. What's this magical powder that they have access to? Oh my gosh, it's called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Tony Robbins knows about it. All these people know about it. What is it? So I just wanted to get to the nitty-gritty of it. And I didn't know that there were courses about it. I just knew that the field existed, and I just wanted to know everything about the field. And then also I thought, what's the best way to know something very well? It's by being able to teach it. I didn't actually want to be an NLP trainer as much as I wanted to be able to teach it to people so that I know for sure that I know the topic.
But this is very deep stuff. Sorry for interrupting, but I was saying this is it's rich and meaningful stuff for a 15-year-old when you're just trying to figure out boys or whatever it is, whatever your and homework. Let me ask you this: was it a demonstration that you saw first? I know you're sometimes you've told me your mom goes to trainings with you. I'm curious how you even where did it even appear?
Well, we really have to thank the hero of, like, my dad, the hero of the whole story, because he dragged me along to this youth leadership event. I didn't know what it was. It was all the way in Belgium. I mean, of course, in America, people travel a lot, but to go to another country in Europe, to me as a 15-year-old, that I was like, how am I going to go there? I'm going to take a train. Like, I really don't feel like that. And he was like, I will take you. I will rent a car and I will take you. And I was like, what are you going to do all day in Belgium? He's like, don't worry about me. Just go to the event. And right at the event, the trainer said, and it was like an amazing event. It was like big, and it was a big theater hall, and it was entertaining, and it was all about leadership and all these qualities. And then at some point he said, I stand here. I was unsocial. I couldn't look people in the eye. Now I'm here. I'm a successful business owner. And it is because of the fact that I learned NLP from Tony Robbins. And I was like, I don't know what NLP is. I don't even care. But if it got you to this point, I need to know about it. So I had the presupposition in my mind that the only way to find out about NLP was through Tony Robbins. So I thought, that's a bit far-fetched. I'll just go on Google. We didn't have ChatGPT or something. We just had Google. And I was like, what is NLP? And I went back home. I remember in the course they had us write out our goals, and I was like, within 5 years I will be an NLP trainer. So, and it happened in 4 years, so that was cool.
That's awesome.
And so I went back home, and I was making this whole mind map, like all of the things I could find in Google, like submodalities, rapport, all of the things of NLP. I wrote them down, and like day by day I'd be like going into the topic, reading about it or something. And then my mom came into the room And she was like, what are you doing, Farah? And I was like, well, I'm making my master plan. I want to be an NLP master. And then she said, why don't you just go to a course? I said, there are courses? People actually teach you this stuff? She's like, yeah, of course. I was like, and you know about NLP? She's like, yeah. I was like, why didn't you never tell me?
That is so interesting. I'm also curious, sidebar, different in America. I feel like NLP, it's becoming more popular, but I certainly felt when I started studying it, I mean, I probably learned about it when I was in high school, so that's over 18 years ago. But I certainly always felt that it was bigger in Europe than it was in the US. But was it still, but it still sounds like it wasn't as well known in your area. I don't know. Was it more normal?
It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't, yeah. And to this day, it's booming a lot. Like, we have so many hypnotherapists now that we have educated within our institute. And that's, I think, part of the reason it's becoming bigger, but it's absolutely a very underdeveloped field. Most people I know, they're like, hypnotist? What is that? Oh, NLP train. What does NLP stand for? You know, more often than not, people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
People don't know anything about fast, quick change. I'm like, oh, you want to stop smoking? We can do that in 20 minutes. The mind-boggling eyes. It's more often than not that people don't know that what is possible within this realm. You know.
You know what's interesting? I mean, thinking about why are there so many NLP students and so many hypnotherapy students, and yet it still seems like a lot of them, I mean, I'm sure the statistics, if you look into this, are that a very small percentage goes on to A, even try to do it professionally, and B, then succeed doing it professionally. I wonder if do you think, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter how many tools you have, there is a part of you that just has to be okay with putting yourself out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also what I've discovered is that the more I go into it, the more I discover that I know little about it. Like, for example, with some modalities, I'm like, oh, I know this topic. But then I hear this person that has mastered themselves in it, and through, I don't know, a book or podcast, and I'm like, wow, there's so much I don't know about this topic. And it's like every single stream within NLP and hypnosis has so much development inside of it that I feel like you can continuously keep on looping and looping and looping.
Yes.
And it's like you can keep on going, and the more you know, the more you find out that you don't know. And
well, let me ask you something. So, very high level, because I realize I haven't asked you this before. Someone goes up to you and says, "What is neuro-linguistic programming?" What do you usually say?
so I usually ask a question back, and I'm like, what makes you interested in it? And so, based on the answer, because it's more of a concept than it is something to explain. Like, you can say it's the study of successful people. You can say it's trial and error, like John Grinder would say, but those are too vague of concepts for me. Whereas the real application of NLP is that it can become something beneficial to the person. So they're like, well, I would like to know how I can become a better communicator. I'm like, yeah, well, NLP is perfect for that because it teaches you communication structures and stuff like that. So I kind of bounce it back with a question usually. But if I were to give like a study book definition, I would say it's the study of successful people.
Study of successful people, yes. And I always loved, I mean, when I purchased an NLP book, I do think my first NLP book I purchased maybe freshman year of college. I remember the study of subjective experience. The study of subjectivity was a very interesting idea to me because I in high school I was learning about the brain and how there was the left brain and the right brain, and the right brain was all creative and intuition, and the left brain, and by the way, these are all models too, but this left brain is the rigid and foundational, and I was sitting there being like, well, I'm Mr. Creative Guy, I'm more right brain, blah 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 blah, and being told, learning about physics and math and all these hard left subjects that you learn in academia, thinking, okay, well, you know what? There's subjective truth, and then there's what matters in the world, which is objective truth. And then all of a sudden, you know what? I actually do think I got the NLP Comprehensives book with I think that was the first one I got in high school, because I'm remembering reading this in my childhood bedroom. When I read about the study of subjectivity, all of a sudden my brain went, what do you mean? How do you study that? How do you, there could be a structure behind that? That is still, to me, the most interesting part of NLP, the idea that we can find rules and structures within the subjective human experience, the unique way we perceive and sense make reality.
Yeah.
NLP is studying it and even modeling it so that you can then copy people who've done it before.
Yeah, and that's where we go with the term successful people, because yes, it is about a subjective experience, and without having the subjective map of somebody, you can never, expand that map into a successful map. However, the outcome would be a successful map, right? And that is modeled after the successful people. So yeah, it is a study of subjective experience, but it doesn't end there. It should say it's a study of subjective experience, expanding you into a successful map or experience.
Right. Modeling excellence. Oh man,
excellence, right? Yeah.
I love NLP so much. I really do. And I mean, in general, I think the promise of NLP might still be more interesting than what has come out of NLP. I don't know if you fully agree with that, but I mean the sense that I feel like but it was part of the human potential movement, 70s, the idea that all of a sudden we could access genius. I mean, let me ask you this. What is an example in your life? I'm curious where you have modeled someone's behavior and you've really found that you've stepped into excellence yourself. Does something come to mind?
Oh yeah, with my hypnosis trainer at the institute, I sometimes catch myself saying jokes in his way, or the thing he is very good at is not finishing his stories. It's a bit like Richard Bandler, going into the loops of a story, and an open loop and an open loop. Like,
Yeah.
this is not my usual communication style, but once I'm teaching, I do, once I think back of how I was teaching that class, there's a lot of resonance for me in what I see, that I have been modeling from this man. And that happened completely unconsciously. But the one modeling project I did consciously was for longboarding. I was very into longboarding, and I found like an excellent model for longboarding. And then I just studied the patterns. I went into that micro muscle mirroring. You know what that is? Online, you can find somebody that you would like to get those qualities of. And what you do, it's like kind of like a child learns a language. They don't just sit there and study it and read about it. They immerse themselves in the experience of the tonalities, of the movements, of the people around them. And at some point, because they can mimic what is happening around them, they can go, mama, papa, right? So there's something you can do to match that kind of same mimicking, but then in adult style, so that you don't look like a child or a creep. And it's called micro muscle mirroring, where within your muscles and your micro movements, very subtly, you copy the behavior of somebody else. And so you do as they do with suspending the need to understand what you're doing. You're just going as in kind of like a blank slate, that person is right in front of you and you are just going into the same movements as the other person, but instead of like lifting your arm when they do, for example, you do it very subtly so that you can feel that pull in your arm. It's like a micro muscle movement where you don't really make the movements. It's very, very clearly. So this is a way to get your body to understand what needs to be done. And then you can go out into the real world and test your knowledge just by going about it. So that micro muscle movement, it will allow you to go around the conscious need, which we have sometimes to try to understand something. We want to go beyond that realm of trying to understand into experience, and then have the world give us a feedback of whether it actually works, and then according to that adjust it, right? So if I would fall off the longboard, my whole thing would not work. But if I'm like smoothly riding, then yeah, it works. And so I've done that. And also with a lot of hypnotists, if I'm going into a course, I always manage to sit as close to the presenter as possible, be it theater or a movie or whatever, anything I want to soak up and just become and reproduce. I make sure that I go into that micro muscle mode. However, disclaimer, I think it's important. John Grinder talks about this. You got to set up a filter as well, which I have, so that you weed out the good things and the bad things. Because sometimes people will do things that are not effective, that are embedded in the behavior. So you got to set up a filter before you do your micro muscle. We can trust that our unconscious knows what's good for us and what is going to make us more effective. We just have to have a source of that knowledge or that excellence to, build off of. But we don't have to know it consciously. We just have to give the command, unconscious, please, weed out the bad influences of this behavior that I'm just going to expose myself to, and give me a yes unconsciously once you have arranged that for me. And then boom, you're in that mode and you can go on about it, and you can, expose yourself to whatever, even if there are elements to it that wouldn't be beneficial to you.
Okay, I have to ask, you recently did a training with Richard Bandler. What was he doing there? How was he calibrating? Can you tell?
Do I remember it all? I certainly don't remember everything consciously, but I think he's done a lot of trance stuff where, because I went with my mom as well, and she said after a course, I don't know what this guy did, but I feel so much smarter and capable as a human after it. Like my mind looking better. And I'm like, wow, And I learned a lot of other things because he has, of course, advanced the field even further, that I didn't consider before. Like the one highlight for me was to saturate the nervous system. He kept on repeating that every single day. And I was like, what does that even mean? And he goes on about, it's not only good to map, the ineffective behavior into the effective one, but then you gotta like put that, your nervous system into this mode where you completely indulge it into a good feeling. And he says the best way to do that is through laughter. Now, my hypnosis trainer also adds, you can have two intense ones, or either an orgasm or laughter. Let's just pick laughter because it's more, people can agree with it more. So, but it's kind of in that realm of thinking of like, once you're laughing, you probably notice when you are in the back of the class and something becomes so funny, you can barely uphold it. And like, all of your body is immersed into it. You start to transpire, you start to giggle, you start to feel all the feelings, and becomes heavier and stronger and stronger and stronger. And so once you can override a bad habit or an inefficient behavior with this laughter, boom, you collapse it, and then you are free from it because your neurology cannot connect anymore to that thing that you used to be doing. So you have to have something that is so strong, so powerful on the other side to combat the thing that you want to change. And so he kept on going, you got to saturate the nervous system. So most of the interventions we did, we ended with laughter or good feelings.
Yeah, I mean, he's also just this master of jokes, and sometimes he's better than stand-up comedians. It's kind of remarkable. And what I find so interesting about Richard is his ability to calibrate.
Oh, yeah. Calibration is the best. Yeah, yeah.
Was there a turning point for you when you started to master calibrating groups?
Oh, yes, I do. I do think, yeah, because you like 10 years ago when I started giving classes, I would be nervous. I would be like, oh, I have to manage myself because all of these people have expectations and how would I do it? And now I can stand in front of 70 people or more and have the feeling like I'm in my living room. Like there is not an ounce of nervousness anymore. And that collapsed for me. Yeah, I think I did like a self-hypnosis on it. I did many things, but one of the things that really made a big change for me was to imagine that scenery of all the people, and then as I'm seeing it, consciously relaxing my body until that relaxation was just the dominant force, and then that collapse just happens, so it's like, usually when we think about the thing that makes us nervous, you immediately feel that tenseness in our body come up. But if we, in the privacy of our mind, we go somewhere where we have no contact with that kind of setting, so you're just in your bedroom, for example, and you just imagine it, and the same feelings come up as that tenseness or that nervousness, and then you just relax into it. At some point, your body will learn it's okay to relax within the tense situations, and boom, you saturated your nervous system, and then it's okay.
Farah, this is you. I was saying that you are definitely. I am going into a lot of the loops in your answers. Do you think that does this happen all the time for you? Do you answer questions and people just like start sleeping?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good thing. That
In a
means
good way.
that they are taking up the lessons inside of a trance, you know?
Is this the world? Are you just kind of making people go into a daze regular? I mean, yeah, what is it, the everyday life of the redheaded hypnotist?
Everyday life. I do my online hypno meditation in Dutch for a group of people. I do it online, and then usually I do it in the replay after it. And I want to touch upon something, considering what we just talked about with calibration, but also like in this realm of what I do every day. So there is this mind-boggling idea that I've learned when I started off with NLP that I'm still to this day using. And I've used it also for this podcast. And I use it like every day in many different contexts. And it's this thing that, we are sometimes fond to think that we have to think about something to make it happen, right? So there's like that consciousness, and then we like go into the world with our plan or idea. And then I learned that you can assign some things to your unconscious and let it deal with it for you, so you can just sit back, relax, and kind of let that download play out as your unconscious is kind of generating that information for you or doing its thing. So rather than me going like, oh, I'm going to do my conscious affirmations today, like I'm happy, I'm powerful, I'm grateful, and then, next thing you know, I get annoyed because of something happening, because that's conscious trying to do something consciously. I say all of these things I want, all of my intentions and the things I want for my health, for my body, my well-being, my whatever future, for the day, for my energy, Okay, unconscious mind, did you hear me? Great. I go into trance and then I say, unconscious, whatever you can make out of this bowl of information, do it and wake me up when you're done. And sometimes I will go into this trance of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then boom, I wake up and I have this amazing idea or this inspiration or whatever it is, and this refreshment that I would never get in any other way than if I would do it consciously. And I think there's so much to it that, one time I gave a course, and I was like, let me test the boundaries of this concept. So the day before, I thought, what if I just don't put a clock anywhere? I don't know what time it is. What if I instruct my unconscious mind that exactly at 12:30 the next day, I scream out of nowhere, it's lunchtime, right? So I installed that in hypnosis. And I remember my dad was actually assisting me in that course that day. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, I have an assignment for you for tomorrow. I want you to look at the time and I want you to pay attention to the words, it's lunchtime. And whenever I say those words, just spiral back to me at what time I've said those words. And so he didn't know about my assignment. It was kind of like, he thought, oh, she just wants to know the time of the lunch. And so I remember at some point I was in the middle of a story and I go, it's lunchtime. And so later on, my dad goes, I was looking at the clock on my phone and exactly when it hit 12:30, you said it's lunchtime. I said, good, that's all I needed to know. And so I'm like constantly experimenting micro levels of that ability of us unconsciously remembering things or installing things inside of ourselves that in the future play out. And it's such a fascinating thing. It's so nice as well because it can like completely dissolve all this possible stress or tension that we might have for future things, because we can just install it in hindsight in our unconscious and then roll with it as it happens.
Yes, this is all very beautiful, and it makes me. I mean, there was a question I was going to ask you earlier, but I was going to ask you, Farah Lutvica, is the unconscious mind your God? Because it might be mine. It might be mine. It's the closest I feel that it's faith that returns on its investments often. Prayer, yes. There I think there's prayer, and I think sometimes it works, and there's studies that for for people that are sick, it can help, but yeah, it seems that more often than not, the unconscious mind, when you suggest something to it, it tends to show up later in the way that's perfect for you. I know that's a hypnotic suggestion, but yes, it's very interesting, don't you think?
100%. So is the unconscious mind your God? I think it gives the greatest access to it, but I don't think it is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Like you said, return of investment. It has the greatest return of investment. I think if you can pray and do it in a way where your unconscious is also activated, I think you'll have more benefit of it. And I think if we include our unconscious mind to much more things and activities, then we'll have much more return of investment.
It's so interesting because of the phrase unconscious also has this connotation of not being conscious, right? So we have those two things, and it's a very interesting kind of, it's a flip in some ways. You have to, some people are, oh, unconscious, what do you mean? Knocked out, what are you saying? But here's the interesting thing, and I've never thought about this before. This is the first time you've put this idea in my head. This is interesting. How many people are, by ignoring their unconscious, they're unconsciously, in that other way, praying and outsourcing the power to some higher deity or other force without putting themselves into that equation of divinity. I wonder about that. You meet a lot of, I mean, I won't say any religious denominations, but I feel like there are people out there that are religious that don't seem to be the most aware of their consciousness. They're religious, but they're not conscious. I wonder if there is something to that. And even if there was a divine energy, wouldn't that divine energy, which we are made in the form of, and by the way, I'm an agnostic leaning towards atheist here, so this is you're putting me in an interesting place, but let's go with this for a second. We're made in the spirit of the creator, therefore we are creators. Therefore, when we realize how much power we have and how much power our unconscious has, that's being even closer to divinity than just praying from a prayer book in a church. Thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
Yes, you're done now.
Here are, my God. Oh, wait, what?
Did I just become your... No. I mean, I know that you do evoke God, and you put a lot of poetry, and I don't mean for you to necessarily go into your religious beliefs, but I do think that a lot of your work, some of the written work that I've seen you put out there, speaks to something transcendent, even beyond the human aspect of hypnosis.
Yeah. So there has not been a religion yet that I'm convinced of I should follow blindly to the extent that it applies all of their rules onto my life. I would say I am agnostic and I'm not religious, because if I would be religious, I wouldn't be able to go to a church and to a mosque and to whatever, because I'd be bound to only go to one sort of way of thinking about it or reading. So I like to be open. Like, I have a bit of Wayne Dyer's perspective on this, which is open to everything, attached to nothing.
Yes.
So and so when you're talking about like reading about it, I think once you are in the vicinity of the context in which you can get closer to that thing, you have a way bigger chance of experiencing the divinity. So if you would go to church every Sunday out of your own desire, I think by year 5, somewhere, hopefully something will click inside of your unconscious too. Because the thing about influence is you can either get influenced through hypnosis or through repetition. So somebody or something, you're long enough in a certain context, you will, embody that because you're inside of that context. So I think even if you would go about it very intellectually or conceptually, or just because your parents told you or whatever, at some point, if you're long enough in it, it drags onto you and you will become it. I mean, we just hope so, because why else would you kind of waste so much time into something that never comes to any benefit for you? And if the higher goal is, or if the main goal is to experience divinity, then the question becomes, how can I experience that even when I'm on the train, even when I'm in the car, even when I'm not praying, even when I'm in a conversation? Like, can I recognize the divinity in you? And so whenever I hear people talk about God, there is a part of me that resists the idea because of the limitations in which to access this realm exists. And I think the unconscious mind opens up that possibility for us to have access to that divinity, if that is the intention that we want to go in. And I think it's a worthwhile pursuit. I don't think it's a worthwhile only to go after your goals, especially if it will go into the detriment of people around you. I think it's important to consider other people, to come from a loving place. And if that means that loving place is called God to some people, well, then just go about it. But I don't agree with that being the only way that it needs to happen. So
Wow, now no, I think that's a very astute and well put point. Do you ever feel that, I mean, are there places you're trying to, okay, look, the Wayne Dyer thing is beautiful, but also, let me give you another angle on this. I love the idea that I could close my eyes and all of a sudden be in a full-blown hallucination in any place that I want to be
mhm.
when I open them. Or even close my eyes and stay in them in a lucid dream. And to me, hypnosis and NLP and these aspects of mind technology, there are claims of such things. Now look, I think it is in general not great, like the Wayne Dyer thing, the idea of becoming attached to that outcome. It can become the same way for that, in the same way that when people were chasing this idea of enlightenment
Mm.
is an outcome that's not really a thing. It's something you can access now. But I am curious, just for the sake of playing around here, are there places you dream of or imagine your mind could go that they haven't gone yet?
That they haven't gotten yet.
Or that where you haven't gone yet? And that could be, you could be like, Greg, I really want to astral travel. Or you could say, Greg, I already do astral travel.
I used to be able to, in my dreams, control the dreams, like lucid dreaming. I can't really do that anymore. I would love to be able to do that again, because I was like flying on elephants above cities, and I wake up being like, oh my God, I just flew across town on an elephant. It was so great.
It's so good. I miss lucid dreaming too. I used to do it as a kid so much.
Lucid dreaming is fun. And yeah, I would love to expand on these abilities, like, for example, astral travel and stuff like that. Um, I have done like some drugs like LSD and shrooms. That to me was very, very mind enhancing. It was many years ago. And that to me opened up a whole new spectrum of experience where I can still tap into sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, what trance am I going to do now? And I just think back of that trippiness and I'm like right there.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the extent of me using the drug, but it is definitely something that can help the mind stimulate itself towards it. But I would love to be, if you know any resources to kind of get your inspiration of, is there like an online generator or something? You could be like, I want a trance today. Like, give me some ideas. Boom. Like, is there something like that? Is there a tool like that? That'd be great.
Yes, we can make one, and we can charge $49.99 a month, and split it. I mean, this is a very interesting thing you're alluding to, because I feel that I've always wondered what Richard Bandler is talking about when he talks about there are so many there are infinite altered states, altered state of consciousness. It's not just one thing. And I feel that in general, I mean, this kind of more than anything else, state is, if you were to do a word cloud of words that pop up in NLP and hypnosis trainings, state is a big one. State control,
Yeah.
the ability to shift states, identity level state shifting. I mean, there's just it is the word. It is your way of being in the world, and the way that connects spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, your whole essence. Which makes me go, there are states I've seen, but what are the states that I haven't seen yet that would be interesting to be
Oh,
able to access?
yeah, 100%. I mean, everything, right? I'm also curious about that. I would be happy if I can find like a generator for it or like realms Like, for example, what I find very interesting, it's something we teach in our course too. It's the DTI, the Deep Trance Identification.
Oh, I'm so happy you're talking about this. Love deep trance identification.
Yeah, it's like the best thing ever. And so with that, if you go into this sheikh or this spiritual person or this trippy personality, whatever, and you go into their energy, like you don't even have to think about, what kind of things you could get into. They already live it or they already are it. Yeah, you can like sneak peek into their world and be like, oh, that's interesting. That's that's fun. Like,
Have you done this? Who have you DTI'd that was a trippy experience for you?
I've gone into Milton Erickson, Wayne Dyer, Louis Hay, into some other. I don't really remember a lot of them anymore. But those three I do remember.
Whoa. I mean, and obviously with Milton, I'm guessing it was lots of footage, unless
There was,
you
but Bob
are
Marley.
the oldest hypnotist.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, those things with Milton Erickson. If anybody wants to have an afternoon, I try watching an entire Milton Erickson video on YouTube, a session, and not going into some altered state. It's impossible for me.
It's impossible. Oh, I do want to tell you about this one time where I was in class and people were doing deep trance unification because we just had explained the whole protocol. And, I was just walking around and at some point I felt this pull to one of our people in the course and I didn't know why. It was just like, felt like this magnetic pull. Like there's something here that was very similar to me. And I went closer and closer and I'm hearing the conversation. And guess what? She stepped into me. She was DTIing me. And I didn't know about it. But I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like some sort of clone.
Is this a violation? I mean, is this?
I don't know. I mean, she had all the permission to step in. I just didn't know it was happening. It was very interesting because I felt as if like, hey, there's something very common in this room. And it's like in that corner and I'm coming closer and I'm coming closer. And here I go. I hear that she is inside me. And like, I'm like very intrigued. What answers is she gonna give me? And it was very much the Farah answers, which is like, oh, I believe in harmony. And, peace is great. And, if people are happy, I'm happy. Like all of those things I usually say too. Like,
Yeah.
it was great.
You know what this makes me think of too? I mean, maybe we shouldn't bring awareness to this, but I'm about bringing awareness to all sides of hypnosis. The dark patterns. Oh, I don't know if you've ever heard of that term smurfing before.
Smurfing?
Yes. So
What is
this is look, they're people that this comes from what I can tell is the early 2000s, people on Yahoo groups talking about hypnosis before it became this big mainstream thing. It's the idea of stepping inside someone and shrinking their energy from the inside. And people saying, this works. This is a way to defeat your enemies. Now, to me, this is kind of spell casting, coercion, evil stuff. I wouldn't do it to people, but it makes me think, of course, if you can do what she was doing to you, then someone and some people out there, and I've heard stories, I'm sure you've heard stories too, or have felt energies of people that are using this stuff to hurt people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can even pay people to do that. Yeah, I've heard many crazy things. But you can combat everything by the equal opposite force of the good energy or the enlightenment on the other side of it. So I do also think that this was one of the main reasons why I did not grow further than the point I have within these last 10 years, but I could have, is because I was very well aware that this spiritual backfire could happen, and I could not combat it with that spiritual, with that energy that could protect me, I was really afraid of that because I've heard so many stories about people getting nightmares about things happening in their house, like crazy things, like where they are unlucky all the time. Things get stolen from them or breaking down or like, and I was like, how does this happen? And it's because they're not protected. And so you have these people you can go to protect yourself. And I don't know, like, if it's like something that is like so much of this idea and then it becomes real because you're thinking of it, kind of like a placebo. I'm not sure about it, but the correlation between what I have heard and seen of bad spirits and like bad experiences is to me so grand that I'm not at the point of arguing with it anymore. I do think that if you're doing good deeds and more people think good about you, that you will have a more of a stream of goodness to flow into. Like, for example, my grandma used to pray over us and our family back in Bosnia. She passed away, but she used to pray every single day for us. And then one moment she stopped. I didn't know that consciously. I just felt it. So I called her up and I said, why did you stop praying over us? She said, how do you know that? I said, because I feel it. And so, even sometimes my mom is like, well, we need to get somebody back that consistently prays over us again. Like I can pay someone or find someone. Because even though it might be true or not be true, like why would I take the chance of getting into this unlucky life when I can just kind of manage that before, the things go downhill.
Well, now that I'm God, I'll make sure you're protected.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, see, this
I
is
need
no, 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 no. I'm for the record, I'm not God. Everybody listening.
Yeah, you're not. But it's a very nice idea. Protect you.
Thank you for saying that. I'm not though. Ouch.
Oh,
Ouch.
you're more than that, Greg.
More than God. That's the line. Greg Bornstein. More than God. ... Whatever. I need these delusions of grandeur. Okay. Tell me this. Have you ever I feel like you did tell me a story of this. Have you ever refused to teach somebody because you knew that their intentions with hypnosis were going to be bad?
Oh, yeah. I once had this session. This person came from the opposite side of the Netherlands, traveled 3 hours to get to my practice, only to discover within the preliminary talk that they had an entity that was cutting them open in their knees as they were sleeping, and they couldn't sleep more than 2 hours a night for years. And like my job was to cast out the entity. And I saw the possession inside their eyes, and I was like, I don't think I'm equipped for this. I'm so sorry. And I didn't know the severity of the problem or like the problem before the person arrived, and I had to send them back home. And I actually know of somebody that does entity outcasting. But at that moment I was like, this goes way beyond my scope. I think at one point in the future I will be able to do that, as I do sometimes house cleaning and stuff. But at that moment, I was like, this entity is just gonna come onto me. I don't know, because I didn't really know how to protect myself as well. So
what happened?
Yeah, so that person just went home. I recommended this other hypnotherapist in the Netherlands. I was closer to them anyway. She had like a 3-month waiting list. I hope they're well. I've never heard back of them anymore. So, but yeah.
Does this woman do spiritual stuff? Does she have like exorcism training or?
Yeah, like we do that kind of training as well within our course, but I'm not congruent with it. So, and we actually just took it out like a month ago, the entity part, which I was like very happy about because we do have 6 other trainers. So luckily enough for me, another trainer would give that day all of these years. But yeah, that's some weird stuff, and I don't know. I have no words for it. And yeah, there is some darkness when we talk about darkness. there is some darkness within hypnosis, especially because if there's not an emphasis on that goodness and on that light, I think people can deviate a lot to darkness. And I've had some very bad experiences, even 2 months ago, where actually I was like, I'm not going to just go into hypnosis anymore, only hypnotherapy, because somebody, like a hypnotist, put me in a deep trance and made me say some things that were so incongruent for me. There were things like, oh, what did I say? Like, oh, yeah, like I had to say I'm a sponge, I'm so wet, I'm so
What?
thin like a sponge, and all of these crazy things that I was like, what kind of weird kink is this?
This is
I
a
get,
pervert?
I get people that have kinks, but don't use me as your subject. Plus, it's through voice. Like, if you have a kink, at least, I don't know. It was like so weird. So, because of my filter, I went out of trance. I said, I can't do this. I was crying so much. I said, you have literally, I feel like verbally abused me in some way.
Yes, that
I
is
have
what I'm
even no
saying.
consent to be a sponge.
Have you? I hope you've outed this guy. Have you outed this guy publicly? Have you warned other people? I mean, what's the deal?
But I have many great experiences with this person too, because we had this back and forth of hypnosis, and it was all very innocent in my eyes until that point. And then I was like, there is no real emphasis on lightness of that this person is pursuing in any way, shape, or form, like in a way of kindness or doing good deeds or just being a good person or something like that, that shows me, even though they're not religious, they have this clean conscience, I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem to have that, and that's enough of for now, enough reason for me to back off of it. So that's the line with, I think some religious people don't have that emphasis on lightness either, which is why I'm like so confused by the whole religion thing. As I'm like, if you want to have this religion go out into the world, well, then be an embodiment of light and of kindness and of love, right? And this is how people can be even open to the message. So I did not reject him in the sense that I was like, what are you doing, you crazy person? I said, it would be great to examine the motives you have for this work. And I am respectfully going away from what you are currently creating. And until that moment where we can, merge again into this higher realm.
Wait, that is so kind of you. I would have blocked this person.
Yeah, I don't believe in blocking people. I don't believe in, because then you're saying you are not allowed to exist. But I believe there's always this room for development, and we have to, whoa, camera is like zooming in. We have to give people that ability. Wait, how do I zoom out? What did I do with my hands?
That's okay. Okay. This is very, I mean, it's graceful. And look, I'm saying to you this to you as a friend, because I know we've kind of had these back and forth before, where I'm like, Vera, have boundaries, harder boundaries.
Yeah. I've learned it the hard way, I guess.
But I'm saying here, I mean, this is, unless you are some kind of miracle person, and you might be, I know you come from a great family, that is a traumatic thing to do. That is wrong that person did that. And as much humanity and explanations you give people and grace for their development and evolution, I hope that you have whatever the weight of it actually did take, if there was any weight, is taken care for and reconciled and taken care of, because you're a good person. You deserve better than that.
Thank you. Well, I did a lot of internal work after it, a lot of recuperation, because I was really out of it. I was distressed. I was crying. I was like panicking. So yeah, it took me like a day to recover. And but if we want to create or inspire change in the world, we have to give people a way out, right? So instead of saying, I reject all of you, I will say, I reject the unhealthy parts of you. And until you can make them healthy again, here I am waiting for you on the other side. And I think that's a way bigger motivator for somebody potentially to even want to change than if they know, well, the alternative of me not doing this unhealthy behavior is that there's nobody out there anymore because I've been casted out by everyone. And I think this, I was thinking about this one story that I had, if I may open another loop.
Yeah, give it to us. Give it to us.
But like, I had this guy in my practice, and he was a drug addict. He was in whatever the word is. But he was in a center where, you know, they had to supervise him, and he couldn't do any drugs. But he had it in his mind to want to do it, but he wasn't able to do it anymore. He was a young guy, like in his 20s. And I said, well, what happened? Take me through the story. And he said, I was 13 and my parents were fighting all the time. And that's when I discovered drugs for the first time. And it was great. And I just kept on doing it until this point, until they took me away, and they took away my license of my car, and I couldn't do anything about it because I was stealing money. I was being disruptive. And I said to him, the first thing I said to him, and by the way, we fixed him in one session. Basically, he fixed himself. And how? Because I didn't say to him, how bad of you to use drugs and blah, 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 be disruptive. I said to him, wow, that was so creative of you. You had no way out with your parents. You were obliged to live with them. You found a way out through the drugs to get into yourself into this kind of safety that you were experiencing at that moment that the drugs gave you. All of these benefits that you couldn't have access to in any other way. As a 13-year-old, I think that's very creative of you, that you have found a way. And he was like, you think it's creative? You're like the first person that has ever said that. And I said, it is creative. And then, you know, in this session, we can expand upon that creativity, because you probably agree with me that right now, drugs might not be the only way to get you to that safe place. Are you ready and willing to explore how else you could, you know, experience the feelings you want to get out of the drugs? And he said, yes. So I had this opening, and it came from this place of, I understand where you're coming from, and let's expand. Instead of saying, oh, I reject this part of you because it's not really inside of the system that we live in. It's not really a thing that we should do. And I don't believe in that. I think that we have healthy and efficient behaviors, and we have unhealthy, inefficient behaviors. And the only way to map the unhealthy, inefficient behaviors to the other side is by giving a roadmap to get there. And it's by acknowledging how good these unhealthy behaviors are in essence, or how much they want to accomplish something good, so that they can gradually become more expanded inside of themselves. And that's how we create real change. Instead of saying there are all these creeps out there on the internet, faceless and without proper usernames or profile pictures, what if we actually open a conversation and say, well, what makes you hide from everyone? What's up, you know? And we not, maybe not in personally with the people, but in our attitude, in our minds. And when we have this attitude, I believe, with me, I have gone to the extreme where I've hurt myself a lot with that, you know, all the ins and outs. But now that I come into this kind of advancement of it, because those things are not going to happen anymore, I think there should be a balance. And that balance is, I personally, and this is a change that I've made, I personally will not indulge anymore in the unhealthy context. I will just wait for you on the other side, but here's the way to me. Unless, raise my hand. Unless you're not getting there, well, then we don't meet anymore. We'll meet in the afterlife, if that even exists or not at all. But it's still giving that ability to connect. And I think people in the core of it, they actually want connection and they want love. And so I don't believe in withholding that. I just believe in creating a very good way for them to get to that place. And if they can't, well, then too bad. And they haven't resolved that within them that they need. It's okay, everyone has their own lessons. But I don't think we should withdraw from that completely because, that's not nice.
Wow, Farah's going to save the incels. That's who you are. You're gonna end this. I feel like you might be the woman to do it.
I don't know. I mean, one of the proudest things I've ever done is I helped heal a pedophile. That was honestly one of my proud moments where it was like, well, this is an outcast to society. Nobody wants to talk to this person. Everyone thinks they're weird. And here I am going, how do you know that? What specifically created this? Just going meta model question on him and finding out he was looping into this hypnosis loop as he was thinking all the time that he was still in love with this girl when he was in kindergarten. So his unconscious mind generalized it so much that he was trying to find that girl that he was in love with when he was 7 years old.
Whoa.
And so him getting aroused by young girls had to do with him like being in love as a 7-year-old. So once we let that 7-year-old grow up to who he was now, this 52-year-old or however old he was, suddenly he didn't have that need anymore. And I was like, well, now we fixed somebody that would have been an outcast and now can just function properly. And the next thing you know, he sends me a picture of him being at the beach after like years because he was not daring to go to the beach anymore because he would always get excited around young girls and he was embarrassed by it. And now he was just at the beach chilling and he could just, enjoy the sun and the sky. And
how does wow, this is a first on this podcast, a pedophile story with a happy ending?
Yeah.
And
I could have reported him. I could have sent him to jail. I could have called the police on him because the things he was saying, I was like, and I was alone in the room. There was nobody to protect me either. But then I also thought, if you are here with me in a hypnotherapy context, it must be because you want to change this. Otherwise, you wouldn't even bring it up.
Yeah. So that's what Jeffrey Epstein's doing now. He's chilling on the beach. Alive some. Did you cure this guy? No, that is wild. Oh my gosh. That is kind of, that's really controversial to even take someone on. I remember one of my trainers, Jeffrey Stevens, said, and again, a controversial claim, but he cured someone, at least it was a cure in their mind, of homosexuality.
Oh.
And his whole philosophy, Jeffrey Stevens, he direct hypnotist. I know we talk about him because someone over there teaches his training. But yes, he was like, I believe during the training, he said, I believe in the power of he was into the subconscious. I believe in the power of the subconscious so much that if someone said, I want to grow wings, Jeffrey, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to act like it with full intention because how do I know the unconscious can't produce wings? And then he told the story about the homosexual that wanted to be cured into being straight and claimed that he was, which again, controversial for many reasons. Not sure if it stuck. Would love to check in with that person, but that to me was a very, it just showed how out of the box these things could be. What haven't we tested yet?
Oh, yeah. So much. So, yeah, I believe in acknowledging somebody's willingness.
Has anybody ever said anything fun and weird? In other words, like, not pedophilia, but
I have somebody that was afraid of buttons. She had a phobia of buttons. So whenever she saw like a button-up t-shirts, she would be like freaking out and be like,
Wow.
getting the twitches and, oh, you're having buttons on. Yeah, that's, I guess, maybe funny to some people. To me, it's very creative again. I'm like, wow, very fascinating. You can create a phobia around buttons too. Like, anything is possible.
Yeah. Okay. So to get back to my early question, we will conclude a loop here. Tell me this. It's powerful. You're messing around with this technology. Did you ever do anything? Did you ever run any tests? Did you ever try to, pattern interrupt somebody at the grocery store, the cashier, and try to get away with not paying, or any waiters or waitresses? Did you ever cause amnesia? I mean, you must have played with hypnosis and anchors somewhere out in the world. Tell me you did, please.
I did.
Oh, I knew she would. I knew you did. All right, let's get some early stories.
I mean, I have one example that I think the viewers at home can even implement themselves, and to just see the power of this yourself, because it's an easy one. And so one of the things I did in my early days when I learned about rapport and calibration, and like, to have good connection with somebody means that you are reciprocating each other, right? You're saying something and I add on to it. Like, there's this rhythm in communication, it's rapport. And so I went to a cafe once, and in the corner there was this couple that was in really nice rapport. And, they're pouring each other drinks, they're laughing, and one leads forward, the other one leads a bit back, and then one leads forward, the other one leads back. And it's like this rhythm that was there, this laughter. I think it was a couple. I think they were in love. And so I remember sitting in a place. I was all alone. I was like sitting on a place where they could see me potentially within their peripheral vision, but they wouldn't see me directly. And the only thing I did at that point was to copy their behavior. So they'd get the drink, I'd get my drink, they'd lean forward, I would do that. Legs over each other, I would do that. And at some point, I could feel what they were talking about when you go pacing, leading. At some point, you're like in the pace, you're like, you can kind of feel what the next move will be. And I got that feeling, oh, now they'll get the drink. Okay, I got into that rhythm. And then, to me, the magic happened where I changed something. So I'd get my drink earlier or cross my legs or something. And they would do it too. That to me was great. I was like, well, one time coincidence. Let me do it again and again. And they kept on following me, even though they didn't see me directly. So I was like, whoa, this is great. But then I thought, let me expand on this. And then I did something a bit unethical, I would say. I went up to them and I said, you guys look familiar. I think I know you guys. And they're like, you do look familiar. I have seen you before. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm from the neighborhood. And I introduced myself, and they were like my neighbors down the block and on other area where I live. And so I made them think that they know me from before. They just had forgotten about it. But basically, we just had met 10 minutes before it. They just weren't aware of it.
That's unethical. That's the most unethical you're going to get me.
Oh, no, but it's innocent enough for people at home to also do and to see the power. But yeah, there have been some things. There are not super unethical. I've never been stealing things or something. But yeah, they're all in kind of that atmosphere of things where I was like, wow, I'm having like unconscious influence over people. That's so cool.
Do you feel, I mean, did you ever with any of your teachers try to get them to give you better grades or something because you were...
Oh my God, yes, I forgot about this. I actually did that. Yes. So we had a grade system until 7, like from 0 to 7, because I was in an international school, and I did not have good grades to pass the year. And I thought like the best class to up my grade is art class, because it's subjective anyway. Like maybe you can find my art a bit prettier the next day, and then boom, I'll get a higher grade. And I was like, I think on a 4 or a 5 out of 7 for that school period. And I just needed to get 1 grade up so that the average of all the other subjects would just, be just good enough. Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can totally do this. And it was like the opportune moment. It was the end of class. Usually this never really happens. Like there's another class coming in after yours. But I was like, I need to get this opportunity. She was sitting behind the computer and she was looking at all of our grades. And I was like, this is amazing. Like if I don't go now, I'll, it's a now or never moment. So I approach her and I'm like behind the computer and I said, Miss, and I said, put your hand on the table. And, because she was already in that little, unconscious thing with her being on the computer. She was just doing it out of kind of habit, like the way that somebody would shake your hand. She was like, and I was like, extend it a bit further to me. And then she would like extend it a bit. And she was like, good, now close your eyes. And I basically hypnotized her. I said to her, now what you're going to do is you're going to look up my name, Farah Lutvica. You're going to change my grade to a 6. And once you open your eyes, when you have done that, you will hear this snap from me. You will forget that it even happened. Now open your eyes, do it. She did it. And I snapped and I said, hey, miss, oh, you seem so daydreamy. Are you okay? She said, yeah, I'm okay. I said, okay, well, have a great day. I'm going to my other class. And I just left. It was like literally a 2-minute intervention. She was so deep in trance. I just had her because she was already in her unconscious, like doing things, figuring out things. It was such a great extension of her trance. She changed my grade. I passed that year. It was great. I was so happy about it.
Do other people know this is what you did?
I know. I never told anyone because I was like, if anybody's going to know, the grade is going to go down. So I kept quiet. Like now I can tell it 10 years later and I'm still afraid that she might see this episode and be like,
wait, that is okay. Well, that might be unethical.
But I thought it was ethical because in my defense, art is subjective. And she could have thought it was worth the 6. So I don't think it was unethical.
That's true. And maybe the trance experience you put her in was such a profound, transcendent, and maybe even artistic experience that she said, you know what? You did more here than you did all semester. Therefore, you earned this.
Yeah, I do think that I got her in a real trance because once I snapped my fingers, she was so disoriented. She did not seem like, oh, I did her a favor. No, she seemed like, where am I? I was like, and I kind of like went on with it. I was like, I think you were daydreaming. So then even if she would suspect something, it would just be like, oh, it was a daydream. And I was like, la, la, la.
Wow. If someone were to really listen to this episode, they would have some, I don't know. I don't know if we want anybody to follow these instructions, but, oh,
I mean, listen on your own behalf.
Test things out, but be good. Give people their free will. You can play around with this stuff. I don't think I've ever done that before. And I certainly, I don't know. It feels weird to it feels wrong to make someone forget their name or something without asking for consent first. Even though it's not really that harmful, I mean,
yeah, it won't come back.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a trick of the mind, if you will. Actually, you know what I'll say about you, Farah, that I've always found interesting is that you like the stage stuff and the street stuff as much as you like the hypnotherapy stuff. I mean, we're very similar in that way. An equal opportunity. If it has hypnosis, if it has NLP, you like it. And
Yes.
I totally, I'm with you. Like have you ever toyed with doing a show?
Oh, I should, yeah. I want to. This is something on my list for the future.
To do a stage hypnosis show.
Yes.
I mean, I certainly think it would be probably one of the easiest things you ever did.
Um, well, I mean, it's something to do. Like next to the institutes that we have and all the things that I'm doing. Like I don't see the space right now, but it's definitely up on my list, like a bucket list thing. Like once in my life, I will have to have done this
I
at
wonder
least
though if
once.
you could do the Bandler thing of during one of your classes, just because of the assumed authority that you have, being this esteemed teacher, recognized internationally. I wonder if you could get away with some of the stuff that blew me away when I first saw Bandler, for instance, and he just walk up to someone in the seat and then put their hand up and boom, zap them. I'm curious if you have you ever tried that? I think you should. I bet you could get a whole room of people slumped over at the table simply by just intention.
Oh, wow. Well, only one way to find out.
Oh, those of you who are about to sign up for Farah's class, be careful. She's gonna zap you. Uh, but it's a good zap, and you always return people better than the way you found them, which is why you do these. I mean, we'll link everybody to FarahLutvica.com. Um, it's got everything here. What was the idea behind the hypno meditations?
Oh, I wanted to create a place of reassurance for people where they consistently can go back to. It transpired in the time in this universe where things were locked down. And so people were going crazy. And I thought we need to calm down and to think more clearly about our next step. So we created that group out of a necessity also for myself. And it just went on for 5 years. I'm still doing it. And there are people now, honestly, that are in my group that have been listening to my voice every single day for the last 5 years. That's crazy to me.
I think you are their God.
Oh, maybe.
Potentially. Do you do this in English too?
No, not yet.
You're starting to do more English stuff though, which is interesting.
Yeah, I do want to. Yeah. So yeah, I'll see how I can combine that. But I have seen
There's
Lewis.
enough of a demand.
Hmm?
Maybe if there's enough of a demand. I mean, I know you're doing this podcast, you're doing other English speaking podcasts. Farah Lutvica is starting to go beyond the European borders.
Whoa.
I don't know, there might be demand for it.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing to ponder about, like an open loop. I can ask that around in my community, be like, hello, who wants English hypnosis meditations?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, look, I imagine most of the trainings too are in Dutch.
Yeah, or Bosnian.
Or Bosnian. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Does anybody ever sign up and not realize what language it is?
That'd be funny. Not yet.
That'd be very
I
funny.
thought this was gonna be English, but it's Bosnian.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, that's good. So, stage hypnosis, street hypnosis. I mean, why is it all? Why do you love it all? And also, what are the people out there? There are people out there that are, hypnotherapists that I've had them on the show that say, that stage hypnosis, it's not for me, or it's street hypnosis. It denigrates the craft.
I do think that most people that do stage hypnosis degrade our field. Not all of them, luckily, but some really do. And I've been to some of them where I was like, oh, man, we have such a vulnerable field where most people don't know about it. And now they won't ever want to know more about it after this show because
Is it just because they make them do all the like hump in the chair?
Not even, but it was cool. Like I remember this one time, you're like, oh, you can see all of these mini puppies under the carpet, and it's like lifting up the carpet. He's like, you see them? They're so cute, right? And then he stomps on it. And I'm like, dude, that's so uncalled for. And he's like, now they're all dead. I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah, it was like so cruel. And then, for example, gluing somebody on the chair and then like, wanting them to get up, but they can't, and then prolonging that for like 10 minutes, where it just gets frustrating. It's not fun. I think all those things, yeah, like if we use hypnosis for fun purposes, I think it should be a metaphor to possibility. So let's make somebody forget their name and then give them their name back and say, what else could you forget that is not of service to you anymore today? Like, to extend upon the possibilities that hypnosis provides, instead of saying, well, that was it, huh? Hope you have a nice night. Like, let's open the loop a bit further. To me, it's a metaphor of possibility, and that's why I love it.
So you're telling me that the stunt that I pulled in high school when I first used a progressive relaxation, progressive muscle relaxation, and I told people that their hands were now their feet and their feet were now their hands. You don't approve of this, is what you're telling me.
Oh, I totally do. That's fun. I mean,
it was fun, though. It did get a little, one time it definitely got like the person started slipping in the chair and I had to stop, sleep. But that was
so funny.
Very funny reaction. What I loved about that was the discovery. I can remember it. The discovery, looking at.
I mean, that's a metaphor of possibility. I love that. Right?
Yeah, that is the thing. To me, all of it is about possibility and wonder and awe. And hypnosis is really the nexus of all of that. I mean, I've been toying around, everybody for years goes, Greg, what is open loops about? What's open loops about? And I think one of the definitions that I've been playing with recently is how our inner reality and our outer reality are far stranger than what they seem, and even more incomprehensible than we could even begin to imagine.
And at the same time, how it's a metaphor for possibility.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes. I mean, I think there is something to it. I think it is, we have this amazing mystery box right with us every day. It's called your head. And you should, I think it's your duty to be curious about yourself in a way, and all the things that you can experience. Let me ask you this though: what is your answer for the old Farah? This is all great. You do this hypnosis, but you could never. I just don't think I'm one of these people that could experience hypnosis. I'm too in my head. I'm too much of a control freak. I mean, do you challenge that view? Do you ever take those people on because those are the people that are really going to go under? I mean, what is your view on the tough, hard-headed, can't be hypnotized person?
Oh, it's the same thing as when you ask me what's the definition of NLP. I always ask something back. Like, so what would you, what makes you want to hypnotize yourself anyway? Like, what makes you interested in hypnosis? So it's like, if somebody says something like that, I can't be hypnotized. I'm like, well, good for you. Like, so like, it's almost like, it's an invitation for a discussion, but it's not in question. So if there's no,
that's a great point,
right? If there's no question on it, why would I have to go? Like, to me, there's no ounce of me wanting to convince somebody, because why would I want to convince anybody of anything other than what they are curious about? Because it's not in their realm of question. So I'm like, well, are you curious to find out? What is your curiosity around the topic? Like, what makes you say that? Is there anything you would like to achieve or accomplish with hypnosis that makes you say that? Like, please expand your thoughts about on it, or just to repeat the last two words. If someone says, I can't be hypnotized, you can't be hypnotized? And just put a question mark after that statement. And then they can go like, no, well, I tried it before, but I'm still smoking. Oh, so you want, you're still smoking? Yeah, I want to stop smoking. Oh, so you want to stop smoking. So how we went from I can't to now I want. Now we are in the realm of possibility. And then I say, like, you have all the evidence for now to say that this one procedure that you tried doesn't work for you. Do you have all the evidence to know that the way I work doesn't work for you? No, I don't, because I've never worked with you. That's right. See, and that's how we create an opening. Not out of convincing, but out of curiosity. And if somebody's curious enough to go into that trajectory with me, they're more than welcome to, because, then they can expand upon what they want. But if they make a statement, I can't argue with a statement. If you say, oh, God doesn't exist, oh, good for you. Oh, God does exist. Well, great, good for you. Like, it's like a statement. How can I argue a statement? That would be crazy. You know why? Also because I think a real opening comes from curiosity, right? There is no opening in the perceived statement. There is no necessity to combat it. Also, the second thing I think is that most people change their minds gradually anyway. Like, I know so many people that are vegetarians now religiously that used to eat meat, and the other way around. Like, people change their minds all the time. So whenever somebody makes a statement, my mind immediately goes, that's your current belief. Might not always be the case. In my mind, I'm like, it's a very fragile thing. Like, you might really be convinced of that right now, but who knows, you won't be. So even if I would argue with it, because, I'm also at the same time meta positioning my beliefs. Like, I think hypnosis is great. Maybe it's not great. Like, who is to say that hypnosis is the way? It's just a way, So at the same time that I'm not taking their statement seriously, I don't take mine seriously either. Like, it's like open for looping into the curiosity of it. And I think somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah, I think that's a great general philosophy and way to approach life. It is very, I'm absolutely with you, very similar, in the sense that everything's an opportunity for play and exploration. And I mean, that's what we did as kids. So if you're stuck in a 9-to-5 job that you hate, where could you bring a little more of that possibility to it? Or, relationship that feels stale. Are you still playing? Is there still possibility? Is there still wonder? And if it's not there, can you find it? And if you absolutely can't find it, well, then that tells you more information. But at the very least, consider that you were, this is the thing about hypnosis. This is the most, and it comes from I know we both like Justin Trance. Justin, shout out to Justin Trance. Love this guy. Justin talks about how, of course, anybody can be hypnotized because hypnosis is just suggestion, and suggestion is how you learn.
Yeah, that's like how you can like loop the statement back to them. It's like, oh, you seem to be very hypnotized by this idea now. And it's like, whoop, but
Yes.
no matter how you go about it, you unless you find an opening to this like realm that they want to move towards, I think it's a dead end, and I don't think it's worth putting energy into. Because if there is no curiosity or openness about where you can go with it, then it's a lost bet. Then you might as well put some energy into the people that are curious by themselves, or that are open enough to, become curious.
Yes. And the other thing is that it is, I mean, similar to the way I've heard people, and I don't know if I believe in all this jazz, but people in the law of attraction, one of the things I've heard said to me on the show is, oh, you can believe in manifestation or not, but that's just the current manifestation of everything that brought you to this point. Because no matter what, you're doing it anyways. It doesn't matter if you believe in not or not. Whatever results you have right now is manifestation in play. I kind of feel that way with hypnosis. It is happening no matter what. You're talking about consciously modeling excellence, but the way we're speaking came from modeling people that could speak excellence. We learn things when we take things in and repeat those. That's hypnotic processes in action. When someone gets you to an emotional place from their behavior, something they said, and then they say that final thing, and you're already in that emotional place, that final, it might not even be the most painful thing they could have said, but because you were in that place, that suggestion just goes in. That's just a human experience. So hypnotists and NLP students and practitioners, we're just people that are going meta to the human experience and going, okay, let's really understand the processes that shape the experience so that we can play with them and make better ones with each other. That's what I love about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And experiment with it as we are in them.
Yes. To me, I would love a world. I mean, obviously, I don't, want to get to a place where my biggest fear is always, am I going to be not interesting if everybody starts doing this? But maybe not. Okay, so this is a very non-abundant view of the world. If everybody became hypnotists, it would be amazing. If everybody understood this, it would be great because we could all take each other in and out of different experiences all the time and willingly and not willingly. And we can understand these things. But if you're doing it not willingly, let's make sure it's, psychologically good and innocent, yes, but in a world where we understand it enough to know when people are starting to move us in a place that goes beyond our boundaries. I would love that. That to me feels like a higher evolution of consciousness because we're all much more feeling all of a sudden. We're all much more sensory. The language speaks to something. It's almost as if we're all casting magic spells on each other all the time. I'd also, if everybody was a hypnotist, I wouldn't have like this cool thing I know that I can talk about at parties. So there's but maybe it would push you to create something even cooler than that, because maybe we're meant to go in and out of these experiences and share something greater than, the basic survival. There's a reason. I don't know if there's a reason. I don't know if there is, but I'm guessing that there's a reason we were given the ability to have language and the ability to communicate at the level of depth that is possible from human to human. And I feel like hypnosis is really on the forefront of cracking the mysteries behind how far that power really goes.
Wow, that's an excellent way to put it.
Well,
yeah.
Greg, beyond God. Yes, I no. I mean, look, I give credit to you for inspiring this stuff. I'm no God. I give credit to Robbins and John Grinder and Richard Bandler. I mean, these are my gods. If anything, I think, Farah, we both pray to Richard Bandler, which is a very scary concept for some people. But no, I mean, I think that they're these people that were willing to take what was going on the surface of life and say, let's study this. Let's experiment with this.
So we are the people that keeps the evolution going. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I want to. I mean,
we are the new generation. It's happening, Greg. This is it.
well, that is why I wanted to have you on, because you are relatively young in the field, and I do, even going to Hypnotize live in Vegas these past 2 summers. A lot of, you don't meet a ton of people that are 20s, and I know you say you're getting older now, but still, you don't meet a ton of people with the youth necessarily. Actually, you do meet the youth in spirit. I will say a lot of people that were in killer corporate careers that switch to this, all of a sudden it does seem like there's a new light inside of them, and that is very common in the personal development field in general. But what is the youth saying about Hypnotize? I think you're on the forefront of this. I think Desiree Eckert, who's on the show as well, I think she has some very, very interesting takes that align with speaking to Gen Z and the next generation and whatnot. Let me ask you this. Where do you want it to go? Do you have an idea of where you want it to go? Where could hypnosis go in your mind that you haven't seen it yet?
I would love for hypnosis and hypnotherapy to become so known as the place where light is amplified through the unconscious mind and behavior. Because I don't think there's enough emphasis on lightness, like goodness, kindness, or optimism. Especially if I go into a stage hypnosis, things like the cruel parts that we already spoke about. You believe that honestly it would be great if we can, transcend all the negativity and bad energies of hypnosis, or the connotation that it has into, well, this is a gateway to enhance spiritual development and personal development, and to create a very fulfilling light life. And I think that would be great if we can contribute, at least if I can contribute to that in my way. That's my mission with hypnosis.
I think you're doing it. I think you are. I see you out there doing it. Everybody needs it. We will link your social media. There's Farah Lutvica. There's the redheaded hypnotist. And of course, www.farahlutvica.com. Yes. Farah, this has been an amazing conversation. We've I actually don't even think it was as loopy as it needed to be, though there were certainly a lot of loops in there. Yeah, I feel like we could definitely delve more into other ways that you've tranced out authority figures to get what you want. We should do more of that. I know there are more stories there. We'll keep that loop open though. Yeah, Farah, where is there anywhere else people can find you, or things you want to promote? I know you have a YouTube as well. I mean, you're on all the platforms pretty much, but
yeah, I mean, add me on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. Let's just add each other and see from there.
Yes, very nice. Farah Lutvica, such a pleasure to have you on. I very much enjoyed this conversation. I learned a lot, too. So that was great.
Me too. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Farah Lutvica, thanks so much for coming on the show. Yes, it is the time of the year where, despite being overweight and probably well into his 80s, I would guess, Santa is still drinking Coca-Cola. Is that good for you? Nick, is that good for you? All right, if you like the show, make sure to follow it, rate the show, leave a review. It helps get it out there. Feel free to share this. This was such a great episode in terms of practical tips. A lot to take away. I want to thank Ronnie McGilvery for the theme music, Zero Boy for the pre-theme music, and you have a wonderful holiday season.